In the early years of the space race, the CIA pulled off one of the most unlikely heists of the Cold War era. Under President Dwight D. Eisenhower's orders, CIA agents got their hands on a functional prototype of the victorious Soviet Lunik space probes launched in 1959. In collaboration with the Mexican Secret Services, the CIA managed to kidnap the prototype for 24 hours after it left a Soviet exhibition hall in Mexico City. The bold move was an unexpected maneuver that, if gone wrong, could have led to a nuclear fallout between the US and the USSR. Soviet Lunik program. The Soviet Union's Lunik program consisted of a series of robotic spacecraft launches whose objective was to land on the moon to conduct experiments and studies regarding the satellite's composition, temperature, and radiation levels. Lunik, or Luna, was the name of the impactor spacecraft. The device was specially designed to reach the moon and then destroy itself. Equipped with highly advanced cameras, the impactor spacecraft would take pictures of Earth and space before crashing on the moon. These photographs would be transmitted directly to the Soviet Union for analysis. On January 2, 1959, the USSR launched its first impactor spacecraft, the Lunar 1. The mission failed after the spacecraft missed its designated impact zone and was lost in outer space. After months of recalibrating, the Soviet Union launched Luna 2 on September 12, 1959. Luna 2 successfully hit the satellite's surface, becoming the first man-made object to reach the moon. The Western world was in awe after the news made its way across the globe. But the Russians were not done with the Lunar program. 1 month later, they launched Luna 3, which sent back hundreds of photos of the moon's far side before landing. Luna 3 became the first flyby probe to land on the moon, and the first spacecraft to take pictures of the satellite's far side. The Soviet program's success attracted a lot of attention, in a time when several countries were deciding their allegiance to the Americans or the Russians. Concurrently with the Russian Lunar program, the US launched its own lunar project called Pioneer. It ran from 1958 to 1960, but it paled in comparison with the Soviets' advances. Like the Lunar impactor, the Pioneer was a spacecraft whose objective was to monitor and study outer space physics. But it failed to reach the moon or make its way into space on more than 5 occasions. The American inability to catch up with the Soviets was a blow to the country's morale, which was in the midst of the Cold War and at a crucial point of the space race. After the Korean War and local conflicts expanded all over Asia and Europe with the spread of communism, the US population feared the prospect of going to war against the Soviet Union. World War I and II veteran President Dwight D. Eisenhower knew what the Soviets were capable of. He was concerned that the country was not just lagging behind in the space race, but also in the intercontinental ballistic missile development. After the USSR tested its first nuclear bomb in 1949 and successfully sent spacecraft to the moon, it was a real possibility that they could launch a full-scale missile attack on US soil. The paranoia was real, and Eisenhower needed a quick solution to catch up with the Soviet Union. Mission monitoring. As far back as 1958, CIA spies were closely monitoring the Soviet space program to acquire information on their spacecraft's latest technological advancements. But the task was almost impossible. The USSR kept everything secret, and only those strictly related to the space program were familiar with the details. The CIA opened a special operation dedicated exclusively to investigate anything related to the Lunar project. Direct contact with Russian agents and double spies proved ineffective, and the focus turned to electronic intelligence. Agents began tracking the telemetry and intercepting data downlinks to develop a complete understanding of the Russian launches. Former CIA Deputy Director Albert D. Whelan and former Chief of the Offensive Missiles Division Sidney N. Graybeal wrote about the U.S. agency's failure to anticipate the USSR's Luna launch. In their report, Intelligence for the Space Race, they said, quote, "The first intelligence problem is to anticipate Soviet space launches with respect to timing, performance, and effect on world opinion. If such forecasting is reliably done, our own program can be so focused or rescheduled as to be most effective. Suppose, for instance, that one had anticipated the determined Soviet drive to impact the moon, which was finally accomplished with Lunik 2 in September 1959, and had accurately gauged the effect of this success on world opinion. Our planner's negative attitude towards the scientific value of such a mission might well have been softened or alloyed with other considerations in time to make the United States the first to accomplish this elementary feat, which was within our reach also in 1958 and 1959. With the scattered data that they were able to recover, the U.S. agency was hopeful that they could adjust their own Pioneer launches, but that goal proved challenging. According to Whelan and Graybiel's report, the post-flight analysis of the program was puzzling. Telemetry, peak altitude, and rocket stage landing site for every Soviet spacecraft varied. Quote, "Once a Soviet space launch has occurred, intelligence must be prepared to move quickly and competently into a concurrent tracking, collection, and analysis operation. Prior trajectories computations for a variety of missions, and early identification of a particular shot's intended mission can make it possible for most collection sites to pick up the signals on the first pass. This early pickup is critical, because only then is the spacecraft sure to be close enough to the Earth to be heard by antenna-receiver combinations of standard design. Banked 250-foot dish for long-range listening may be required. A lost opportunity on first-pass tracking can easily preclude subsequent pickup and so nullify the whole collection operation." After several failed attempts, the CIA concluded that the only way to get a real glimpse of a Soviet spacecraft was to get their hands on one. An opportunity opened during the last days of 1959. The USSR had decided to organize an exhibition tour across the globe to showcase their latest economic, industrial, and technological achievements. A Mexican spy. At one point during the Soviet World Tour, the exhibit stopped in Mexico City. Both the CIA and the KGB had their main Latin American headquarters in the city. Eduardo Diaz-Salvetti, a member of an elite Mexican intelligence unit working with the CIA, notified the agency that the Luna and Sputnik prototypes that would be part of the Soviet exhibition were not mere models. They were actual functioning prototypes. The CIA immediately dispatched 4 agents to Mexico City. Pretending to be local civilians, they ventured into the exhibition to see the Luna and Sputnik vehicles for themselves. The agents concluded that they looked real. A plan started to develop. The agents could not get their hands on the prototypes in front of the crowds. They also thought of breaking into the exhibition late at night, but it was guarded by a Soviet guard 24 hours a day. The only possible way to get uninterrupted access to the lunar prototype was after the exhibition was over. The prototype would be loaded into a truck and taken directly to a railroad station. It would then be inspected and shipped to another location. Based on the CIA report, The Kidnapping of the Lunik, by intelligence official Sidney Wesley Feiner, quote, "As the exhibition moved from one city to another, an intercepted shipping manifest showed an item called Models of Astronomic Apparatus, whose dimensions were approximately those of the Lunik crate. This information was sent to the CIA station nearest the destination with a request to try and arrange secure access if the Lunik should appear. The agents elaborated on a plan to steal the Lunik crate for a night and deliver it to the next station by the morning. If they succeeded, they would be able to obtain valuable intel on the Soviet spacecraft. If they failed and were exposed, they risked igniting a nuclear fallout between the US and the Soviet Union. The odds were high, but the agents did not back out. The heist. The night of the operation arrived. The agents arranged for the Lunik to be the last truck carried out of the exhibition. The 4 agents followed the vehicle closely aboard their cars. When they realized that no Russian agents were escorting it, they stopped the truck shortly before reaching the station. The driver was escorted to a hotel room where he stayed overnight. He was told that he could pick up the truck the next day. He suspected nothing. The truck was taken to a salvage yard owned by Eduardo Salvetti's brother-in-law. After monitoring the area for a few hours to ensure the Soviets didn't show up, the agents got to work. According to Eduardo's testimony, quote, "Everything that was removable from the craft was removed. Parts of motors, interior components, scraping from the rocket fins, liquids they thought might have been leftover fuel, anything and everything that was of any consequence was stripped and taken." The CIA agents began at 6 p.m. and took 12 hours to complete the task. While they worked non-stop, Salvetti's unit patrolled the zone. By the time the original driver left the hotel to pick up the truck, the agents had already put the Lunik back together, careful not to leave any traces of tampering. The driver took the Lunik to its next destination. The Soviets in charge of the exhibition crate showed no signs of suspicion and had the container loaded. According to Agent Wesley Feiner, quote, "To this day, there has been no indication the Soviets ever discovered that the Lunik was borrowed for a night." In 1987, Eduardo Salvetti agreed to be interviewed by Austin reporter Francisco Perea to write a book about the Hollywood-style mission titled Hijack. During the interview, Salvetti said that he agreed to share his documents because, quote, it is time the people of the United States and Mexico realized the boost the American space program got from this hijacking. The event was not officially confirmed until the CIA declassified documents related to the operation in 1995. The mission's success is widely credited to have helped the US push its space program forward and get up to speed with the Soviets.